Okay, it's April 5th, 2021. We're here for our regular meeting of the St. Albans Town Selectboard. We'll begin tonight's agenda with the Pledge of Allegiance. So I'm going to go on, who are we picking on tonight? We're going on Corey's team. Everybody mute except Corey.
Who, me? Oh.
Yep.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, for the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, liberty and justice for all.
Amen.
It's on my contract.
Yeah, no. If you were in my shoes, you would have done that the first meeting. You had that chance to, so feel good now. So we need to.
Brendan,
Yes.
Erin said she's having computer issues, but she's going to sign on very shortly.
Okay.
You don't have to wait.
So why don't we head towards warrants and minutes? So we need to make a motion to amend the agenda to add a town manager item F to talk about our logo effort in the Welsh earmark application. Because Congressman Welsh we've sent in some stuff that we would like Corey to brief the board and public on. We're really excited about. There's probably like a 10% chance any of it comes through, but if you don't ask, you can't receive. Would anybody like to make a motion to add under the town manager report on the agenda, item F, to speak about the logo and application we made to Congressman Welch?
So moved.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Perfect. Okay, now we can move on to agenda item 2, the warrant. So we made some assignments the last time we were around, and to be honest with you, I can't remember who we assigned what to. I want to say that we gave Jonathan the general fund.
That's correct.
Okay, so we've got, it's been a few weeks. You got a pretty big one to start with. It might be the biggest one that you could have started with, $276,000. So take it away from.
So you got the general fund warrant dated 4/1/21. The two big invoices in there were for the city PD. One invoice for law enforcement and the other invoice was for the street crimes unit. And all the other stuff's the daily, day-to-day stuff, some insurance payments, whatever. So I'll make a motion. We approve the general fund warrant dated 4/1/21 in the amount of $276,431.39. Second.
All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Hey, Jonathan, who did we assign payroll? The three weeks worth of payroll.
I thought maybe it was Erin.
Erin, we're going to give a chance to get her caught.
Oh.
So let's work on the infrastructure development fund. We had a $53,870.43 for the town hall project under the previously approved funds. One of our articles in November. So if anyone would like to make a motion to approve that infrastructure development fund warrant for the town hall.
I'll make a motion. We approve the infrastructure development warrant dated April 5th, 2021 in the amount of $53,870.43.
Second.
Second it.
Thanks, Jess. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And then we had the fire department reserve related to the boat. Was that the motor rebuild, Carrie?
It was.
And we're selling some old air packs or something to help make up some revenue to fund this invoice. That was the arrangement with Chief Cross.
It is. That's correct.
So we purchased the boat at a pretty good deal. It was $120,000. I think we had $125 into it by the time we got it up here. The boat 10 years ago was over $400,000 when some governmental agency in the area of Baltimore, I believe, had it. 10-year grant. So we saw some significant private investment in the bay, which increased boater traffic. And we heard from our volunteer fire department that they needed a new piece of apparatus. We made an interdepartmental decision to hold off acquiring a ladder truck for an additional year to create a funding mechanism for a new boat. We bought it. We just rebuilt the motors in the boat, and it should be good for us for at least 10 years. If anyone would like to make a motion to approve that fire department reserve warrant, that would be excellent.
So moved.
Second.
Thank you both. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Perfect. We just have payroll for April 2nd, March 26th, and March 19th.
Do you want me to take that? I'm gonna have to do one at a time. That'll be fine. Or I'll read them all and then we can do it. I'll make one motion at the hour, make a suggestion. All right. Starting with, let's see, the first one that I have open, I'll have to go back and forth, is actually the April 2nd one. And that was for the amount of $20,282.14. And the next one, in no particular order, is going to be the March 26th with $30,304.18. And then the final one is from March 19th at $18,280.34. All right. So I'll make a motion that we approve these 3 payroll warrants for the dates and the amounts listed.
Second.
Perfect. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Perfect. All right, awesome. So we're on to the minutes. Now we have the minutes from our last meeting in front of us. Does anybody have any corrections? Would anyone like to make a motion? March 15th.
Make a motion, we approve the minutes of March 15th.
Second it.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you, Jen. Great job as always. All right, so we're on to public comment, agenda item 4. Does anybody have a public comment? Okay, let's move on. Agenda item 5, we have some board appointments, the DRB, the Planning Commission, and miscellaneous other boards. We have a slate in front of us. We still have some recruiting to do. And we can't forget that tonight's the night we appoint Stanley Dukas to be our town agent for a year. I'm really excited about that. So we have 2 positions available for the Development Review Board for a term of 3 years ending in 2024. Allison Pickett sent a letter of interest. I think Allison's on our meeting tonight.
Mhm.
I think it's tradition that we allow a minute or two to any applicant who would like to speak to their letter of interest to have an opportunity to do that. So Allison, would you like to say hello or speak to your letter at all?
Sure. I am Allison Hickey. I grew up in Franklin County, but I just moved to St. Albans probably about 5 years ago. I built a house off Lower Newton. I have spent 18 years at Milan, but I just recently changed jobs so that I've always wanted to be involved in the community, and this job change has allowed me the time to do that. And I'm really looking forward to being involved, and I feel I would be a good asset to this committee. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, Allison, does anybody have any questions for Allison or in general before we? So Carrie, speaks me every year. Do you want one motion to approve the whole slate, or would you like to go forward?
I think it's easier with this many to do a motion for each board. So in this case, it is only one person. You could do all the DRB members in one motion, but I don't think we want to do one motion for all of the appointments.
Fair enough. Okay. So let's continue reading on. We'll read every board and committee that we'll have to make a consideration for it. All the motions that they're not broken up every time we have a Planning Commission. We have 2 positions open for 3-year terms. Casey and Anna Rounds both have sent letters of interest for reappointment. The RPC Regional Planning, 2 positions for 1 year. Both Al Vigel and Sarah had both sent letters of interest for reappointment. I know Sarah's here tonight. Just on town historic preservation earlier with Corey and Sarah, and I will say Sarah is an absolute wealth of knowledge. And just in the few moments that we've been able to spend on the same meeting, and easy to see that Sarah's going to be a real big asset when it comes to Representative too. So now we have the Transportation Advisory Council. Alan would like to be reappointed. The alternate position is usually a select board member. Currently it's Stanley. So I don't know if someone would like to step up to be Alan's alternate on TAC. And then NRPC's Clearwater Advisory Committee, it's another 1 year position. Alan's had it for a few years now and attended all the meetings. And then we've got the Northwest Vermont Solid Waste Management District. Al Vogel would like to be reappointed. Al's a good one to take all these positions. Northwest Vermont Rail Trail Council, one position for 1 year. Currently is Robert Pastat. Have you received a letter or any communication saying that he would like to be reappointed, Carrie?
We have not yet, but he's the one who sought us and really wanted this position. So he's been pretty responsive till now. I'd be comfortable putting him on there unless he somehow then resigns, but.
Yeah, I've reached out to him twice and didn't get a response as of today.
Mm-hmm.
So why don't we hold off for that reappointment and make another effort to contact Mr. if that sounds okay to everyone. Just, I think he would probably want to continue, but having not heard specifically from him. So constable, you can or can't appoint. It doesn't really matter. I think we've obtained legal advice on that before. It's not a required position in the sheriff's office. Currently, SAPD provide a lot of those functions. The constable and second constable aren't necessarily required. We'd like to appoint Stanley Dukas as town agent for a term of 1 year, and a tree warden. We haven't had one in quite a while. We can appoint Alan, but we don't have to. Let's make a motion to, if it sounds okay to everyone, appoint Allison Hickey to a term of 3 years on the Development Review Board, to reappoint Casey Tooth and Hannah Rounds to the Planning Commission for terms of 3 years respectively, to reappoint Al Vogel and Sarah Hadd to positions of 1 year representing the town on Northwest Regional Planning Commission. To reappoint Alan Mashter to represent the town on NRPC's Clean Water Advisory Committee, and to reappoint Alan to represent the town on the Transportation Advisory Council through NRPC, to reappoint Al Vogel for a term of 1 year to represent the town on Northwest Vermont Solid Waste Management District Board, and to appoint Stanley Dukas as our town agent for a term of 1 year.
So moved.
Second that.
Okay, any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Congratulations, everybody. Thank you for stepping up to help our community. Allison, we look forward to seeing you hopefully in person around town hall, but you'll be working with Megan and AJ, zoning administrator and assistant zoning administrator, and they're both awesome. So feel free to reach out to staff tomorrow to begin.
Okay.
And we look forward to helping you get up to speed with our bylaws. And
Okay. Sounds good. I'm looking forward to it. Thank you very much.
thank you.
Brendan,
Have a good night. Thank
Brendan, are we not going to appoint an alternate for the TAC? It's usually a select board member, and Stanley was holding it currently.
And Alan, who would you like to be your alternate to TAC? Because it's not unfounded that the alternate might sometimes attend TAC with committee, attend the committee meetings with Alan to stay up to date. Work.
How often do they meet, Alan?
It's the second Thursday of every month. The TAC usually starts at 6:30, sometimes gets done around 8:30, 8:45, depending on if they have speakers or not. And then the clean water starts at 5. So usually you start at 5 and you get done around 8:30, 9 o'clock.
So the expectation might be that somebody attend, I don't know, 1 to 3 meetings a year?
Yeah, I've been hitting all of them the last couple of years. With Zoom, I know Stan, I'd keep him up to date on stuff just for this reason. He wasn't crazy about Zoom.
No, I get that, but if somebody else wanted to be the alternate, it's not that big of, it's not a huge lift, I guess, on top of everything.
It's one night out of a month.
Brian, you look like your wheels are turning, not to throw you on the hot seat. Good way to get going.
What is it exactly you're talking about, Alan?
Fair question.
Well, the TAC committee is Transportation Advisory Committee, and basically the committee goes over any projects that is state funded in Franklin County and Grand Isle County.
It's a subcommittee of regional planning.
Exactly. And we actually vote on some of the projects that are going on in our counties, and that weighs in with what VTrans is thinking. And we talk about rail trails and all of that in our area. And then the clean water, obviously, the committee talking about stormwater issues, the 3-acre law, cleaning up the bays, Missisquoi Bay and St. Albans Bay.
Gotcha. You may have a lot of getting me caught up to do, but it's for 1 year, right?
That sounds like willingness. Somebody make a motion.
So, yeah, hurry up before I change my mind.
Make a motion, we appoint Brian Deloria to the Transportation Advisory Council for 1 year.
As an alternate.
As an alternate. Yeah.
So we're all clear what our expectations are.
I mean, to be fair, I don't want to gloss over its importance, but I think it's really important for Brian to go if we were trying to get a bridge funded or some really large initiative in the town. That's when it's really nice to have more than one person attend those meetings. You don't have to attend them every.
Sure.
I think I would want
the funding that the priority projects they put forward is how the state funds its road paving priorities. So it's important if we have a state road that's in rough shape. So, because if I was here as senator and you're complaining about a road, my first advice would be, well, get it on the TAC list. Where is it on the TAC list? So it's important for that too.
Gotcha.
And it'd be a good meeting for you. I think I was actually Alan's alternate for a year, once upon a time. Mm-hmm. I attended a meeting or two at the Franklin County State Airport with them. And it's mostly heads of departments of public works from around the county, and good folks from regional planning. And Alan in particular has been excellent at leveraging those relationships and to getting things done. I know he's always swapping and trading with our neighbors to help get things done faster and more efficient for everyone, and that he's leveraged his relationships at NRPC into a lot of grant dollars for our roads. So yeah, whatever Alan's doing, if you can duplicate, great, Brian.
Yep, sounds good.
And I was hoping on Clean Water Advisory that we could wait to onboard Emily. Is it Emily or Emily?
Emily?
Emily. I was hoping that we could wait to onboard Emily and then maybe appoint her to attend with Alan. I think that would fit very well. Okay. So, press release hit on our new stormwater coordinator, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
Right, so we're all set on appointments. Carrie, we hit all the metrics?
I think so, but Jen seems to be on it, so I think we're good.
All right, so now we have the LEMP, the Local Emergency Management Plan. Mm-hmm. Carrie, would you like to gloss us over before we entertain a motion?
Well, just to add to what I already wrote in the notes, this is the short list that we try to keep current, and I will tell you that Aaron reviewed it thoroughly and found a few things that we did change. So I have an updated version of it in my packet. Some of the things were updating some state appointments. We had Aaron's name incorrectly in a couple different spots. And I also asked Sean to update the town map to correctly indicate where our town buildings were, like DPW and maybe the new garage. So those are the changes we made from the document you have in your hands. And Aaron asked a question. I think Judy was called the social media outreach person because she was both doubling as the PD's social media person and the Vermont Department of Health. So she just did both.
So when you say the PD, like the actual police department, she was, okay.
Yeah.
No one's asked me to do that yet, so I'm not doing it.
No, I mean, I wouldn't offer, but I just think that's how she evolved into having that label near her name. I don't know if you ask her if she'd do it again either, so. Yeah, so this is probably a pretty, it seems like an innocuous list, but it's actually pretty important to have an old-fashioned written list that we can grab off a folder if there's an emergency. State officials use it often. They've reached out to me, on a handful of times, or Alan, depending on the situation, they know how to reach us. So it's a required document for us to get access to grants later. So yes, I'm looking for approval of that document. It used to require signatures. I don't think it requires one now, but we do need approval of it.
I'll make a motion that we approve the local emergency management plan for 2021.
Second.
Thank you. Thanks, Jonathan. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Gary, you wanted to touch on that we're thinking about holding a training for the select board?
Yeah, the second half of that was that we do need to get a management or executive level NIMS class, or National Incident Management System training class for the select board. I think it's been at least 5 years since I've had one, and I don't know if any of you are currently, have you taken any, I guess is what I need to know. Okay, it's actually a pretty good course. I mean, sometimes these federal courses are mind numbing, but this one actually is in 2 to 3 hours, just gives you an overview of the systems that the PD and fire department use. And the message is pretty clear. Despite what your elected position is, there's always a place for people, and it doesn't matter what your elected position is. Just kind of get out of their way and learn how you can be part of the solution, and what your roles would be in a really serious emergency. We have the manager's form of government, obviously, so I can approve a lot of these things in the interim, but in the case of, like that disaster and flooding in 2011, the select board was asked to spend quite a bit of money, not knowing if they were getting it all back. So really, it's all about money and resources at that point. So I will probably get some information from Sean before I bug you guys about a date, but it certainly can be done virtually. He did confirm that. That's all I have on that.
Something we have to do all together, and you think there might be a module out there that we could do?
I couldn't hear you, Brendan.
You think that's the type of class where we'd have to all get together virtually on one Zoom call, or do you think there might be a module that exists that we could do independently?
He indicated that there'd be someone that would give a virtual class, but not that there was a taped module already. But I can ask.
And I know for my work, I have to do, I haven't done that one, but there's some NIMS trainings that I'm supposed to be doing and working on, and they're online, but I don't know if the 400's online or not. It might be better to have it in a class, because the online ones are rough.
Yeah, and it's not all intuitive. Some of it's just really, I actually enjoyed having it done, having somebody talk to me directly in a class. And I took I've taken about 3 or 4 of these. One with the entire, it felt like the city fire department there about 8 years ago. But anyway, so it's not bad. It's a good idea. And at one point they were requiring that a lot, they didn't say a certain percentage, but that of our executive branch be NIMS certified. So it's not
on there. And we have that implicit bias training for all elected officials and volunteers coming up too. So we'll work around that and try not to overload.
Yeah, that's next week. I was trying not to be too overwhelming, but.
All right. Does anybody have any emergency management questions for Carrie while we're on the subject before we move on to liquor control? Okay. So we need to recess as a select board and open as the liquor control board. By motion.
Make a motion, we recess as the select board and open as the liquor control board.
Second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Hey, LCB, here we are. We have Price Chopper, second class, Bay Store, second class, Elks Lodge, first and third class, BFW, first, third, and outside consumption. And are we all set with these renewals? And then we'll go on to the new application.
Yes, everything's all set with the renewals.
Okay, I want to make a motion to accept these license renewals.
I'll make a motion that we accept these license renewals.
Second.
Yep.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, now Maple City is for the first time applying for first and third class.
Yes,
Anna, you have everything you need for their application, fees
I
paid?
do. I do. Once you approve the application, it goes in front of Department of Liquor Control, and they send out an investigator, and they do their thing and issue them a license or not.
Hi. Would anyone like to make a motion to approve Maple City's applications for first and third class licenses?
I'll make a motion to approve Maple City's diners first and third class licenses.
Second.
Yep.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, now we need to make a motion to adjourn as the liquor control board and reconvene as the select board.
I'll make a motion that we adjourn as the liquor control board and reconvene as the select board.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, select board. We're right back for the town manager's report. Carrie?
Awesome, thank you. So the first item I put on there, primarily it's the honor wall, status of the honor wall committee. When we attempted to schedule our first one, because it had taken a few months, one member had dropped out. So we really need, other than Anne Marie, I wanted some more involvement. And so we're going to be seeking some participation or some board members to meet with us, hopefully later in the fall. But to that end, I think we should start telling people that we're looking for nominations right now. And encourage people to send us those nominations so that when we finally do meet in, say, September, that we have some names to consider. And we can get that done in the fall and hopefully get back on track and make a recommendation in January.
And I probably should have asked this before, but what exactly is the
Honor wall?
Yeah, what's that looking at? Trying to do?
So when you enter town hall from the Cherry Street side or the church side in our lot, it's hard with this building because there's a couple different lobbies, but that's what we call our lobby to the boardroom. And there's a wall with honoring people in town that have contributed a lot of their time and efforts to just town efforts. So right now there's 3 people on the wall, and we had made a policy to have a committee gather once a year, preferably in late winter, before town meeting day, and make a recommendation to the select board on who should be appointed to added to the wall.
Mm-hmm.
And I expect when we have a more grand lobby in our new town hall that will have a prominent position, and people will notice it a little bit more. I think right now it's Eleanor, Steve Weschler, and Bob Johnson. That's where we're at.
Are the three new people you said added to it? So then there'd be 6?
No, those are the people that are. 3. That's a good point. So those are the people that are currently on the wall right now.
Oh, got it. I just mean if there's 3 more, you said they are added to, so there'd then be 6?
No,
the 3 new people replace the current 3?
No, so Brian, it's just you ever go to like the Elks Club or
Yep.
past presidents?
So, okay, they'd all stay up. Okay,
Yeah,
that's
everybody
okay.
stays up forever. And
Yep, that's cool.
There'll be an annual, be a committee that meets annually that reviews nominations and makes recommendations to the select.
All
And
right,
at
thank you.
that time, they also put a few criteria in there. So just to make it more streamlined and less subjective, I think.
Thank you.
So the next item would be the town hall update. So a lot has happened in the last month. Did officially hire Peterson Consulting Incorporated, or PCI, as our project managers for the construction phase of town hall. And also they helped us go out to bid for the construction management services, which that person will oversee obviously all the subs and the construction of town hall. And after 7 people pre-qualified for that, 3 ended up submitting bids. 1 dropped out right at the last minute. We did select DEW for the construction manager. They have signed a contract and they're going to be at our town hall meeting tomorrow, which is our first meeting with them. And I think keep us on track, hopefully. We do not have a groundbreaking scheduled as of yet, but we're still hoping this summer to start it this summer. Did I miss anything? Anna, you go to almost all of them.
No, did great. Thank you.
Okay. Yeah. So, I mean, it's been really wonderful working with Peterson Consulting. They're keeping us on track. They're being that buffer with the subs, which is really helpful, and making sure that we're staying on budget. So hiring, Peterson Consulting and the CM, both well within our budget. So we have some wiggle room here, which is a great way to start a project. Are there any questions? Oh, so the other question I've been getting a lot, just in case, our During Public actually watches our meetings. I don't know how many people do. We're hoping to start in June or July. It's an 8-month process, they tell us, to when the town hall should be completed. So spring of 2022 is our expected move-in date.
In there, everything's working as it should.
Yeah, right. That's what our hope.
Really nice to see.
Item C, Parks Ordinance. I really haven't been focusing on this, to be quite honest, but I'm not sure if anyone else did either. I mean, the one thing we were talking about was whether or not we wanted it revised. I didn't get any comments on it, so I'm wondering if someone with more focus on the parks would be better served to actually look at this, or do we not need to change a thing?
I think, Karen, when you and I had spoke about that last week, we discussed whether or not we should even put it on the agenda because we hadn't really arrived at any type of a bridge to cross.
That's true.
The last time we talked about it, I think there was some consensus around reviewing the ordinance to see if there were things that should be in an ordinance, such as a fine structure for certain offenses. And then if there are certain things like opening dates and uses that should be in a policy so that we can amend them on a more regular basis, and to do that with some fluidity and no 60-day appeal periods. So we're wondering, Carrie and I are wondering if the Parks Committee might be the right vehicle to kind of take a look and then maybe work with Sheriff Langevin to see if any fines need to be located within the ordinance and if everything else can be in a policy. Maybe review what some other communities with similar parks do for governance.
So yeah, we could take that on, I think. And if you could just send along with it the definition of a policy versus an ordinance, so I can bring it to the whole committee. And and I'll work, closely with John on that too.
Perfect.
Is there a deadline or anything, or we can just kind of take our time? Okay.
No, there's no deadline, and I don't think there's any real emergency to change anything. It just seemed like we were kind of massaging it every year as an ordinance, and I don't know if it needs anything. And that's where John's input's going to be critical. I mean, he sees firsthand if our policy is working. If somebody's constantly violating the ordinance, then we need to consider why, and should we change it or should we enforce it? I don't have an answer for that really.
Yeah, sounds good.
Cool. All right, so I'll do that, absolutely. D and E are really just copying the select board. So we got a petition for certificate of public good from Vermont Solar, and we got an Act 250 land use permit. The select board's copied on those as well for Malone properties. Neither one seemed to be something that required your comments, but if you're curious about it, you can always contact ahead of time, not right now. I think Jen might not have it, but they send us just a copy now. A lot of stuff's done online, so it's not like you'd have to pick anything up. If you're concerned about somebody's application, just let us know and we can look into it. Those two applications didn't seem problematic. But it's part of the process they're required to copy the board on. I'm gonna let, you have a question?
No. Yeah.
So Brendan alluded to it, but I do want to note that we did make an announcement last week that we hired Emily Sherrington. She's an engineer who's coming to us from South Burlington. I haven't heard too much about it yet, but word's out. So I hope people start noticing her. She's great at outreach. The Messenger must have heard about it. I mean, we did send the press release out, but they are doing an article, I think, this week on her. So hopefully that's another positive step. And now we'll go to F, which is Corey. He's going to update us on two things you did last week. One of them is the logo update, which has a possibility of creating a lot of conversation.
So I'll start actually with the Welsh update. About a week and a half ago, Congressman Welsh's staff reached out to every community in the state of Vermont. Earmarks are back in Congress. So effectively the congressman's going to be allowed to get up to 10 projects, if you will, in the next federal budget. So they asked us to submit by the middle of last week proposals for funding. After talking just with Brendan quickly and Carrie and staff, what we thought we could pull off. All the money has to be spent within a year of when we get the money. So, it's not like we could plan, something that needed a lot of planning was something we could do, but we do have pretty advanced engineering done to redo the Bay Park Pier and Stonehouse. Carrie and I worked with Matt Young to update the numbers just with inflation and construction the last couple of years and what that cost might be. So we submitted a request to the congressman. We'll know by the middle of April if we made his top 10 list, and then we won't really know till October if the budget, if it gets funded. But we did ask for $4.3 million to raise the dock 2 feet and completely restore it. That project's about $2.7 million. We also requested $1.6 million to turn the Stonehouse into the Taj Mahal. So just want to give you guys an update. We figured those are good projects that would, the dock especially would be tough probably for us to fund on our own anytime in the near future, but we do have plans. It would be good for our community. We explained in the application the importance of the Bay Area. We're putting a new town hall there. We have other plans. This would really just kind of be a nice bow on the package if they were able to fund it. We also talked about the symmetry of the Bay Park was designed by the federal government to help get us out of a recession 90 years ago. What kind of symmetry is it 90 years later coming out of a pandemic? That a potential to secure it for another 100 years. It creates a nice symmetry and story. So hopefully Congressman will like it, but normally we would probably have a lot more time spent talking with you guys before we put that in, but we just had such little time to get something in to them to request. So that's kind of, we made a decision there. So just want to inform you on that. The other piece is, as Carrie mentioned, we're starting to, we'll whittle away at design ideas for our logo. We've gone back and forth with Doer Maker. I included 5 in your packet. Please provide feedback. The staff's feedback is options A and B are their favorites. Some, overwhelmingly. So We did ask Door Maker last week to come back and come up with another design to marry A and B together. So instead of maybe the mountains, let's see it with a stone house there. A lot of people like the font from B, put the font into A with that, but keep that kind of circular design. So I haven't received that yet. They should get it to us probably sometime this week, but we'll probably be coming to you in the next few weeks to finalize design options. But staff has given feedback on where we are. Looking for your feedback. I'll probably show the planning commission and other groups over the next week, just for their feedback as well. So kind of making adjustments and whittling away, and we'll have probably something like this. We'll probably have a 20-minute long conversation and a few meetings deciding which logo you folks want to go with, or if you want to do something to get public input, and you kind of get to a few finalized ideas, we can do that as well.
Want to express your feedback here?
Huh?
Asking if anybody wants to give you their feedback now versus later in the meeting.
Yeah, but I was going to say, Corey, I like the non-block lettering.
Yeah.
I'm just wondering if there's, I'm probably the worst person in the world to be doing any kind of design type work, but just wondering if there's other fonts that would also look good besides whatever that one is. I don't even know what it's called. It's not.
I think that was one they created, or came close to creating. The other stuff, it's hard to the stone house. We wanted to try to push to a building because we're replacing a building, and we don't really have. The stone house in the park probably going to be our most recognizable public assets, but we've played with a lot of combinations. What you guys see was finally round 4. So I've been working on for about a month to even get where we are. So there's been a lot of iteration so far and trying different things and playing with things. They had some neat concepts in the beginning that probably, wouldn't, the general public wouldn't understand. We played off some stuff from the original St. Albans, UK, and played with some of their logo. And it was neat, but not so homey and local. But I think we're getting to the end of that process.
I agree with staff. A and B were my favorites. I liked, I'd almost like B with the little water wave underneath the words, because I think having that water element is really nice.
Yeah, Alan mentioned that today too. So he's smiling.
Yeah, A and B were my top picks too. B, I think, edged out A a little bit, only because I think A is seem very on trend right now. I feel like I could see that on a t-shirt, but I don't know if I'd see it on a sign for 20 years.
And that's kind of the pushback we got on A. So that's why we're pushing for them to come up with, maybe a couple marriage ideas between the two. The one concept I heard actually from Emily, I engaged Emily, our new employee who doesn't start for a month, because she has a graphic design background. So I reached out to her and she mentioned some good points that the circular piece would look better on vehicles and on letterhead and other things. So, trying to just play with that concept a little bit more. I promise we do more than just look at pictures of logos.
All right. Well, no one has anything they feel compelled to share with today. We'll do it again.
Yeah.
Okay. So anybody have any other questions for Corey about the Welsh application? It really hits home to the fact that we can only jump on so many opportunities. Have shovel-ready projects.
Well, and I'll follow up. Before this meeting, I was on a call with the governor. There's a plan coming out this week on how to spend the federal stimulus dollars at the state level. There's going to be a lot of money for recreational paths. There's going to be a lot of money for wastewater and sewer infrastructure. I think, we're going to have to do our best as a staff. We're still looking at your priority list and where things are, but I think this opening of federal dollars is really going to, wherever we can get money is going to take us in a direction for a little bit, because we know we want to do all those things and we just got to see where we can get the money. And, we might get $3 million to do the health path. And so we immediately, spend time up there, or we might get, this $4.3 million down at Bay Park, and we've got to spend all that money in a year. So we're going to be really aggressively going at those projects. So there's a lot of money flowing around. I think, there's potential for another transportation bill coming out this fall. I know Alan and his crew's looking at, projects that we potentially could invest in as money comes available there. So it's just seeing where this money's coming from, what we can get our hands on, and then, kind of prioritizing based on what we get for money.
Oh, other questions for Corey? End of the report, Carrie. Anybody have any final questions for Carrie about anything in the town manager's report? Okay, so schedule our next meetings on Monday, April 19th, and Monday, May 3rd. We have our implicit bias training next week. Mandatory. Hear from any individual board member, because I know sometimes volunteers reach out to elected officials that they feel closest to, saying that they can't attend the implicit bias training for any reason. Please direct them to email Carrie. Contact Carrie.
Do we know what time that's at on Monday?
6 o'clock. 6 to 8 is the time block.
Right. Oh, staff, do we have anything to add to schedule? No? Okay.
I do not.
Okay, so Jessica's got a time constraint tonight. So I'm not gonna, you're good?
He
I
doesn't.
don't have a report anyway, so I was using that to gloss that over.
Oh, well, then Jessica's going to rescind that. She's good.
Yeah, we've got time constraints. So I don't have to say anything. Any other business?
Other than executive session briefly, hopefully. No, I don't have anything else.
All right, just a side comment. The staff's doing remarkably well. We're firing on all cylinders. Department of Public Works, Stormwater Utilities about to be staffed. Corey, Carrie, Jen, AJ, everybody. Megan has been absolutely stellar to watch. As someone that deals with a lot of zoning administrators in Franklin County, could not have had a better hire. So kudos, Carrie, Corey, AJ, everyone that had played a hand in all these new hires the last few months. Remarkable.
Actually might have, does Alan have something? You want to briefly go over what paving is happening and when?
Paving, and then maybe like the shoulder schedule, within the lanes, general update on the program.
Sure. Well, you guys know that we signed a contract with Pikes. They're doing our paving again this year. They guaranteed the same pricing as last year. So on the books this year is all of the bay. It'll be Georgia Shore, Church Road, Patton Crosby, Little County, around the McGinn and Cherry Street. We're looking at LaBelle, Bushy, and Marcel Drive. And if the numbers come in right, hopefully doing another 1/4 mile up on French Hill, reclaiming the road like we did last year. That seemed to hold up real well over the winter, and little by little we can get that road to what we need it to be.
Corey, make sure you tell Liam Parent when you get off this meeting. I want Liam Parent to know that we're working on French Hill. Corey sent me this video yesterday or the day before of his 2-year-old in the car seat looking at me and said, Uncle Brendan, we need a new road because it's really bumpy. And I'm like, we'll get right on that, pal. So the very next board meeting, Corey, I want him to know that we discussed it and we're working on getting him a new road this time.
He did say please.
He did say please. Unfortunately, it's the backside of French Hill, so we might have to deal with some bumps on the front side for a while. So we'll be milling 1.5 inches, putting 1.5 inches back down. That way it gives us grindings for shoulder work. Last year's pile of grindings, for the most part, we did do almost 18 miles of shoulders, but the majority of our pile all went for around the salt shed to save money on our budget. So at the moment, I am totally out of grindings. With that being said, we do need the millings. I am taking the millings from the city this year. They didn't want them. So I've accepted to take them for them. which is a good thing because gravel prices have gone up 50 cents to $1 a cubic yard this year. Don't ask me why. I don't think fuel prices are up that much, but must be they're running it through the crusher twice. But nonetheless, gravel prices are up, and with keeping our budgets low, it's good to have some millings on the side. And that's pretty much it.
Alan, do you have a pile of OSB or any pressure treated lumber we could sell to redo the stone house?
I wish. We'd be a rich town if we had a pile of that.
Hey, you work for us. We already are the richest town in this whole United States, Alan.
I appreciate it.
What, does anybody have any additional questions for Alan before we move on? Okay, so thank you, Alan. Have a good night. So if nobody has any other business, let's make a motion to enter into executive session and to invite the town manager. Are we bringing the ops director tonight, Carrie? Are we gonna cut him loose?
I don't think we need him tonight.
All right, you go tell Liam we're working on his road then.
He's in bed already.
Okay, fair enough. So if anybody would like to make that special tongue twister of a motion?
I'll make a motion to go into executive session to discuss legal, contractual, or personnel issues where premature general public knowledge of the subject matter would place the town or person involved at substantial disadvantage. And further move to make a motion to enter into executive session to discuss legal, contractual, or personnel issues under the provisions of Title I, Section 313A1 of Vermont statutes, and to invite the town manager.
I'll second that. No.
All in favor?
Aye.
Ori, Jen, Anna, have a wonderful night.
Thank you, you too.